Maya hated speaking up, not just at work or school, but anywhere. A family dinner? Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Picking up takeout? She'd rehearse her order at least 3 times in her head before stepping up to the counter. Even then, her voice trembled as she said, Hi. I think I called ahead? Her shyness wasn't something new. It had been with her for as long as she could remember, like an old heavy coat she couldn't take off. And now, as a young adult working an office job, she felt invisible most days, exactly the way she preferred it. But sometimes Maya wanted more. She longed for the courage to join the lunchtime conversations in the break room, to laugh loudly, to say yes, when her coworkers invited her out instead of making up excuses about being busy. Deep down, she wanted to be seen. One Friday morning, Maya shuffled into work, her head tucked down as usual, hoping to slip unnoticed to her desk. But as she walked by the bulletin board near the entrance, her eyes landed on a bright yellow flyer. Annual Office Talent Show. Sign up by Monday. Her immediate reaction was relief. Thank goodness that had nothing to do with her. Maya had zero talents that she felt comfortable sharing. Singing? No way. Dancing? Absolutely not. Comedy? A nightmare. She pushed the thought aside and went about her day. But by the time she got home that evening, the flyer had crept back into her mind. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wishing she could be one of those confident people who could just go up on stage without a second thought. What must that kind of self-assurance feel like? She sighed and rolled onto her side. That wasn't her, and that was fine, right? On Monday morning, the talent show was all anyone at work could talk about. A few desks over, Eric from accounting was boasting about how his band was going to blow everyone's minds. Jessica from HR mentioned her stand-up comedy routine over coffee. Everyone had something, everyone except Maya. And then it happened, a moment she didn't see coming. Near the end of the day, Maya's manager, Sarah, approached her desk. Maya froze, startled by the sudden attention.
Hey, Maya, we realized there's one slot left in the talent show, and we were hoping you'd take it. You're always so creative. I bet you've got something great to share.
The words hit her like a ton of bricks. She stared at Sarah, wide-eyed, her mind racing. Creative? What did that even mean? Her pulse quickened as she tried to think of a polite way to say, absolutely not, without sounding rude.
Oh, I don't really have any talents.
I'm sure you do, Maya. Think about it, okay? The deadline's by the end of the day.
And just like that, Maya was left alone at her desk, panic bubbling in her chest. As the minutes ticked by, Maya knew she couldn't avoid it forever. The flyer on the bulletin board taunted her during her lunch break. By the time she returned to her desk, her hands felt clammy. Could she just say no? Of course. No one would force her. But a small rebellious thought slipped into her mind. A whisper, what if you tried? After years of shying away from attention, the idea felt almost thrilling. Not comfortable, not safe, but maybe in that strange, scary way that promised something new. She thought back to her evenings at home, how she often doodled in her sketchpad when the world felt overwhelming. She loved to draw, though she'd never considered herself particularly skilled. Could that count as a talent? Her hands shook as she wrote her name on the sign-up sheet later that afternoon. The following days were a blur of nerves and second-guessing. Maya stayed up late, sketching furiously, determined to create something special. She decided on a series of illustrations, a collection of scenes inspired by moments in her life. The time she moved into her first apartment, the park bench where she read her favorite book, the view of her grandmother's kitchen, warm and filled with sunlight from when she was little, quiet moments that meant everything to her. By the night of the talent show, Maya felt like her heart was going to beat right out of her chest. As each act performed, the applause roaring through the room, she couldn't help but think, what am I doing here? She nearly bolted out of the building twice, but somehow stayed. Waiting for her turn felt like a lifetime. And then her name was called. She stepped onto the small stage, gripping the microphone in one hand and her sketch pad in the other. The spotlight made her cheeks feel even hotter. For a moment, she couldn't remember how to begin, how to find her voice amidst the silence, but she knew she had to try. And then, with a deep breath, she started. Maya decided to share her world, one illustration at a time. Each sketch was a piece of her life, a story untold. The park bench, where she lost herself in countless stories, was a sanctuary in her bustling world. And her grandmother's kitchen, filled with sunlight and the scent of fresh bread, was a memory she cherished dearly. As the applause washed over her, Maya realized that her voice, through her art, had finally been heard. In that moment, Maya knew she had found her voice.